Welcome back to the show. Joseph, tell me a little bit about what type of lessons you've learned in intuition. What have been some of your life lessons?
Life lessons. Intuition pulled me out of my life. I had a really successful career as a jeweler. Mm-hmm. And I was, on the surface, perceived to be doing extremely well. And understand that at this point, GV, I had been exploring, this is going from my teen years, my late teens, into my, almost into my late 20s. Where I had been working with intuition on the side. I had been doing work with people on the weekends, working with trainers, mm-hmm. Exploring different states of, naturally, of course, exploring different states of consciousness, mm-hmm. Going into trance, coming out of trance, mm-hmm. becoming familiar with that experience, mm-hmm. as if one actually can, right? Mm-hmm. And at one point, intuition stopped everything mm-hmm. and said, essentially, although I didn't know this message was going to be the message at the time, that what I was doing at the side, because I was afraid people would laugh, because I thought mm-hmm. that people wouldn't understand, mm-hmm. That sort of thing. Okay. I came from a middle-class background. What are you talking intuition? That's nonsense.
Yes.
That sort of thing. That this stopped my life, took me out of a relationship, had me move out west from Toronto in the span of 5 months, mm-hmm. Set me up with a job teaching about intuition that of course fell apart the moment I arrived here. Mm-hmm. And at that point I was really interested in radio and television. And I wound up, I got a radio show on university radio. I got fired after 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. And the producer was, really, not only are you fired, but you'll never, ever be on radio again. Okay. Like that'll never happen to you. Yes. Not you. As if he knew. And then not 2 weeks later, I got a job doing the afternoon drive on rock radio, which lasted for 4 years. So from university radio to mainstream rock and roll, which is what I grew up listening to, I thought, I'm home, and that, I don't, I was hoping this would come out today, but that also, with that came television appearances, mm-hmm. and intuition, which led me to do intuitive work on the radio and on television, mm-hmm. also took me out again in the early part of the decade, 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I had said to it, I essentially looked at myself in the mirror, confronting my intuition, mm-hmm. and saying, okay, I did what I thought you wanted me to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've gone this far. Mm-hmm. I remember talking to the ocean one day at Kitts Beach, because I thought the ocean is the closest physical example I can get to the divine. Who made mm-hmm. the water? Mm-hmm. I don't know, but whoever did, I want to talk to it. Exactly. Right? That kind of frustration, which you have to. It has to rock you down to your soul, so that you can learn to listen to your soul. How else, unless you meet it, mm-hmm. there's that expression, Muhammad went to the mountain, right? Mm-hmm. The mountain didn't come to him. Mm-hmm. So, going to the ocean effectively, and at the same point going to the mirror and saying, I will not appear on television again. I will not do radio again. I will not do anything public again until you come into my life and say, it's time to do this. Mm-hmm. So, and it's amazing that you're the vehicle for that. I mean, I have no idea if this will be my first appearance of years of appearances, mm-hmm. or my final appearance. I really have no clue at this moment. Mm-hmm. I mean, living spiritually doesn't mean you've got, you don't have a plan. You learn to give up your plan in favor of a greater plan that you're not always privy to. And that's even more so, you're drawn into that relationship with the intuition, because it's that gives the clues. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you are contact you know, when you arrived into my life, there was, I was not only grateful to meet you as an individual, but grateful for being the vehicle for that, you know, for that message to say, yes, it's okay to return.
Joseph, what's the difference between intuition and psychic ability?
Intuition is the seed of psychic ability. You know, yeah, you know what? Like there's no, if you're not working with intuition, you are not doing intuitive work. Plain and simple. Okay. Psychic is a very broad term that covers various forms of intuitive work. Okay. So effectively, while working with it, you begin to learn. You begin to learn your own intuitive language, which is. And then from that, you'll probably go into learning more about your dream language, which which is another topic of conversation altogether. But these are all, I'll say, inner dialogues.
Okay.
Yeah, that you begin to learn about.
Joseph, if I met an intuitor, say if you and I met for the first time, would you just automatically know my entire life?
You know, Bram Stoker wrote Dracula, and one of the things that I love so much about that story is that he put in, for some reason or another, that unless the vampire is invited into the house, the vampire can't come in. Right? Okay. And you know, it's interesting because we could talk about energy vampires too, right? Yeah. Which we're not going to. Yeah. But same thing with a person who has, look, Jeevy, plain and simple, there's nobody alive who doesn't have intuition. All right. If someone were to come up to me and say, you know what I know about you? You know what I would tell that person? You know, like no one has the right. I have no right to read you. I have no right to look at what's going on into your life, past, present, future. It doesn't belong to me. It's not my business. And out of respect, you know, for you and respect for myself, well, I've got better things to do. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is my ability. If you're asking me to share it with you, then I'd be honored to share it with you. You know, in that way. If someone be it for intuitive work or for psychotherapy infused with intuition, regardless of the nature of it, then there is, when people come to see me at my office, they sign what's called an informed consent. Okay. Yeah, so that they know they are giving me their consent, essentially, to read them, to be with them, to explore what's happening with them, both consciously and subconsciously, and the intuition is mixed with all of that, you see. So to answer your question, do I know? Absolutely not. Am I interested in knowing? It's not my business. I think we, just like we are not animals, we must respect each other. And with the quality intuition, psychic reading, whatever you want to call it, that quality of respect must be present in every action you take.
Beautiful. Joseph, in closing, what would you leave our viewers with?
I suppose just a quiet thought of gratitude. If they've watched us for this hour, if they've taken something from what we've shared, if their lives have been touched in any way, then I'm grateful to be allowed to be the vehicle that helps that within that process in some way, shape, or form. So. Thank you for watching us, but thank you for having me here.
You're very welcome, Joseph, and thank you very much for coming on the show.
Okay.
That's all for today. I would like to thank Joseph Eliezer for sharing his knowledge on intuition with us. Until next time, embrace each change as though it opens a door to a new possibility.